Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Today we have Gray BTC in the studio.
Yeah, man. Nice to be here.
Ever since 2015, you're pushing out content on education. So
Yeah.
fantastically done. And finally we met in Singapore.
Yes.
Amazing.
How did you find Singapore?
Singapore was hot. Like Dubai is hot, but it's not as humid. But the city was amazing. I mean, I lived in China for a few years, but I'd never been to Singapore. Loved it. It's nice, clean, efficient. Food is amazing. People are lovely. So I really enjoyed my staying.
I didn't feel anything different when it comes to the heat. Maybe because I was in Bali before that. So I kind of got used to that kind of humidity. But yeah, I loved Singapore. It's amazing.
Yeah, it was really cool, to be honest. And then so many amazing people. I mean, the Token 2049 was mind-blowing. I mean, I was even asking myself, what is the bear market?
Yeah, exactly, right? It makes you feel like what's going on. It's like it's that at the top of crypto again, where you go to a conference where everyone's excited. But I think it's just the Asian Web3 community. In Asia, it's just extremely bullish and more active than the other parts of the world, you know? It's speculative, of course, but like people really love this stuff. So that's what I realized even in Bali as well. I would go to a smaller conference and the quality of people and projects I would meet there, just next level.
Prior to Token 2049, I was in Blockchance in Hamburg, Germany, which was really lovely, but it was a very different vibe, you know, super European, very, very tiny, you know. It was such a different vibe compared to Token 2049. And it kind of got me like a shake thinking, okay, this is different.
Yeah.
I mean, much larger, much more busier. I think we had, I don't know how many people, but tens of thousands, I would say, because it was really busy and it was on 2 floors, right? So
Yeah, and in Marina Bay, one of the best places you could ever have a conference in Singapore. So
exactly.
and the parties were much better, you know? It's like, I don't like parties, but I know what a good party is.
Yeah.
And crypto parties are usually extremely boring. It's a bunch of guys and none of them knows how to
Bunch of
party.
nerds.
They're always a bunch of nerds looking down on their phones.
Yeah.
But in Singapore, it was a little bit better. I liked it a little.
Yeah. I love your choice of dress for the gala dinner. My favorite outfit.
You know what happened? I had no idea what the dress code was and all that stuff. So I came down the stairs in the hotel and then I came out in a t-shirt. And then I saw Matteo coming out and a couple of other guys, everybody dressed up. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to up my game. So I called my girl upstairs like, yo, can you bring me a jacket? And I wanted to wear just a normal black jacket, like what most people were wearing. And she came back with that.
What a jacket.
Yeah, it's really cool, like Argentinian design and all that. And the car was downstairs, outside waiting for us. So I just thought, okay, I'll just keep up with this.
Yeah.
And then I ended up receiving many compliments from people like you and everyone else. I was like, okay, it works.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it was beautiful. It was my first gala, so kudos to Bybit for organizing everything. It was super well put together. Insane amount of events, side events, and yeah, I was really impressed. I mean, I came back kind of sad because, you know, it was always good to go out and have your crypto bros and sis all around, you know, going out and doing things. And now everything kind of spread across. I mean, some in Dubai, you know, some in South Africa, some in Europe. So yeah, and until I guess the next big one, which is going to be Token 2049 in Dubai.
Dubai, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to that one. Surely it's going to be another massive event. I was speaking to a couple of other guys in Web3. They're already arranging the side events in advance. So I think that's good. I mean, for all of us who are based here in Dubai, we should definitely do something. We should do something to make Dubai proud, to be like, okay, look, we have had the best Token 49
Yeah, indeed.
ever. You know,
100%.
so to all the event organizers out there, like the pressure should be on your shoulders. Like we have to beat Singapore, right? Dubai Token 49 must be top.
Yeah, and the bar in Singapore was high, so exactly.
It was really high, yeah.
So you have probably one of the most beautiful stories in crypto. Do you mind sharing your background and how you got into crypto?
Yeah, so I come from the other side of the world that most people do not know about. And I come from a place in the world where it's perfect, fertile soil for Bitcoin to thrive, right? Basically, what Bitcoin was created for people who were or who still are in my circumstance. So I was born in a small country called Malawi, one of the poorest countries in the world, not much opportunities and all that stuff. And then eventually I ended up moving to South Africa to look for opportunities. And when I got there, I don't have any formal qualifications whatsoever. I was one of those guys who just never go to college.
Same.
Because there you go, because it was too expensive, right? And I just never really, I've never been that inclined in academic education. Academia, it's never been my thing. I didn't understand why I should do it. So I was just exploring around opportunities. Then I taught myself some skills, computers, design, writing code. And then I worked as a gardener before, cutting grass at people's homes, basically, to make a small salary to buy myself a computer. And then when I got myself a computer, I got a couple of skills. I faced two major challenges. Number one was a bank account, right? I needed a bank account, but the bank couldn't give it to me because I did not have a formal job as a proof of income. Now, if I go out to try to get a job, I wouldn't get it too because they wanted a formal qualification. So it's kind of like a double entendre, right?
Yeah.
An infinite loop. And I ended up going online for work opportunities. And online, I really found it cool because nobody online cared about my background, what kind of qualifications I have. They're just like, yo, this is what you can do this for me. The problem, however, would be payment. It's time to get paid. How do we pay you? So the people online, they're obviously in the Western world, and they just thought that, oh, there's PayPal, there's Western Union and other payment apps, and would realize that I actually don't have access to any of those solutions. So they would be like, okay, one guy just said the other day that, oh, I can just pay you in Bitcoin because he liked my work so much. And prior before that, I had gone through Bitcoin already on Reddit because there was the AMA with Bill Gates and people were asking him about Bitcoin. So I looked into it, did some digging and bought a little bit of Bitcoin. And then I just never thought of it until I came across it a year later online when somebody wanted to pay me. That's when I started really getting into it and became a trader, and Bitcoin changed my life because without it, I wasn't going to be able to find the opportunities that I managed to find because of Bitcoin,
Such a lovely story. And there is so many important things. Like you said, the banking system is rooted in our society, right? So in order for you to do anything, it's one of those infinite loop. Like you were saying, oh, you want a job, you need to have a degree. You have a degree in a job, you need to have a bank account.
Yeah.
So all those things are necessary to function into a normal setup. Even when you travel abroad or you go into different places, Dubai has been difficult for me to open a bank account, for example, because I came here, I opened my own company. And when I went to the bank, I said, hey, I'm in Dubai, this is my business.
Right.
And they said, okay, well, in order for you to have a bank account, you have to prove you have clients. And I was like, well, how can I have clients if I don't have a system to be paid in? Can you just open a bank account and then I'll find the clients? Some of them are abroad, they will want to transfer money. But also they wanted me to show them I had already a certain amount of money coming in. And I'm like, well, but I'm an entrepreneur. It's a startup. I mean, I'm a freelancer. I can connect some of my previous clients, but I can't guarantee anything. I'm starting my own thing. So it becomes really hard and really tricky. So then I found the bank. They said, hey, we don't care. It's called Startup Program. So you pay a little bit a month and we give you your bank account, your card. And I still have them. I still use them because I don't think it's the more efficient system, like you said. I'd rather be the bank. I'd rather say, you know what? I'll keep the keys. I'll keep the coins. I'll keep the cheese, so that I can manage it myself as opposed to trusting these third party. I mean, not only is tricky because they control, they decide, but also they own everything. So after all those troubles, all those vetting systems, all those things they want, the requirements and everything, they still have your assets.
100%. And this is what a lot of people don't understand about the financial system and the mechanics. So, take it from me who was completely out of the system, right? I had to buy myself in, right? So I didn't start from a system that is functional at all. And then if you're coming from a place where the system is not functional, the system doesn't even want to absorb you in. They want to keep you out. And then if you buy yourself into it, that's also when you realize that, okay, look, this thing is... So the system can compute what kind of person it can make successful, right? So it thinks of someone who has a college education, right? Got all the paperwork necessary that makes it feel safe. Let's say if you want to get a mortgage or to open a bank account, you have to be the perfect cut of what the system understands for it to accept you. Now, for a lot of entrepreneurs, they're a little bit outside of that realm, especially if you're also from other geographical areas that are not mostly Western. Now, because you make your money in other different ways. The way you generate income is not necessarily getting it from a huge corporation every month. But the system likes validation from corporations. It trusts institutions more than a person, you know? So when a person comes in, the first they want to see like who is endorsing you, kind of like the corporation is your master.
Yeah.
You know, and then if you don't have that, well, there's no opportunity for you, because even when you're applying for visas, they want to know who is your employer. If your employer is not the big companies, you are also in trouble. So, you know, it's kind of like, it's really a slave system in a lot of ways where, so, you know, the system is designed in a way that it can only protect people that are cut from it. If you're outside and you have your own other ideas, or you look a little different, you feel a little different from how things are done, then you're going to have a hard time. But, you know, I have like one of the worst passports in the world. I come from the other side of the moon, so I'm just used to the system kicking me back, and I have to work 20 times as hard to just find my way.
Probably the crypto in general attracted many kind of different type of individuals, but it's funny that people like you and me are kind of always at the core of these kind of innovation, I would like to say,
right?
Because it solves many problems we practically have. Like I've tried to find a job, I tried to become this perfect man in society, which means, like you said, have a mortgage, have certain kind of standards for them to guide us in. But in the end, I end up being a pirate and say, you know what, hell, I'm going to travel the world, which, by the way, bureaucracy is the worst enemy. Like I've been in situations where my driving license, for example, is not Italian. My passport is Italian because I took the license in Italy, but then I exchanged it because back then, if you wanted to drive in London or in the UK, you had to leave. Basically, you have to say to the British people, I'm going to give you my Italian driving license. You're going to destroy it and give me in exchange a British one. But now I have a problem because my passport does not match my driving license. And when my driving license is going to expire, who's going to renew it? Italians said, hey, you lost yours. What do you want from us? British people said, you left England. You're not British. We don't care anymore. So you are in this limbo where you have only issues and nobody cares about you because you left.
I have exactly the same problem with the license here that you have. So I'm fully aware of it. Whereas my passport doesn't match my driver's license and then I cannot exchange it, right? But you see, it's because bureaucracy is a class system. It's a master and a peasant system. The system expects that if you're a peasant, you're not cut from the top families. You're supposed to just live your whole life in Italy and do everything there, right? So the systems are based on that very understanding. Just like when you're traveling to other places, they keep asking, when you have a one-way ticket, they just don't understand it. The people at the airport just don't understand it. They want to see a return ticket because they think that everybody goes on vacation for a week and then they come back. They don't understand that the world is so big, you can just go, and maybe never even come back, So I've dealt with so much of this that I get it, why, the people who are behind the system, they're sort of the agents of the machine, right? Yeah. And they're trained to think that way. It would take so many years for them to sort of get to your level of perspective of understanding. So it's just always going to be like this. But it's people like you and I who actually create new ventures or ways of thinking. If we keep doing things differently, and then other people can see that, oh, actually, you don't have to just do it that way. There's other variations of it.
Exactly. And I completely agree with you. And as much as I appreciate what they are doing it, because at the end of the day, they want to control the majority of the people, right? Mm-hmm. So I believe what's happening is they manage to control some of us, right? And some of them, they go, no, you know what? I don't want to go anywhere. I have my own village. I was born here. I'm going to buy my house. I'm going to get married. I have 3 kids. Done. This is the majority of the population, kind of slave, rat race.
They believe, like, for example, this is my country,
Exactly. As if, anyway. But then there is another percentage of people, they try to escape.
Right.
But they go back with their tail in between the legs saying, oh my God, there was such a headache. But whoever managed to survive those kind of escape moments, they become warriors.
Right. Exactly. You become a warrior. That's why my website is greatjabesi.com, the modern warrior, is because so many people actually attempt to escape the system. And then they look at how how many challenges that comes with that, and they just quit. They're like, oh, look, I'm just gonna stick to the normal lifestyle, go to my job or whatever, get a house, 30 years mortgage, and this is gonna be my life, and I'll stay in this because this is my country. And if you attempt to escape it, you can, but it's very difficult. So if you make it happen, you're really actually a warrior. That's exactly what you are.
We are in a new country. Maybe there is a new language. Maybe there are new rules. Maybe there is a new way of writing and reading. Maybe there are stuff that we are not used to. I think the ability to pivot is my number one favorite entrepreneur skills, because you start with an idea, you say, I want to build this thing, but then God, in between that day and the day you actually build something, there's going to be so many different things you have to adjust and pivot, right? And when I speak to people, they have never done anything besides staying in their village, staying there, which is totally fine, by the way.
No, it's not fine.
I mean, if they are happy with that, whatever. I mean, if you want to stay in the rat race, you know what they say, you can lead the horse to the river, but you can't make the horse drink.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I can show you where the water is. I'm drinking plenty. It works for me. If you don't want to do it, it's up to you.
Look,
right?
I think a lot of people are aware that life is terrible. They can't say that they're happy. They accepting of whatever reality is being handed over to them is kind of a coping mechanism of their own failure. It's just like a guy who accepts whatever happens to him and says, oh, this is how it's meant. You have words people use. They say, or phrases say, oh, look, it was meant to happen this way, or everything happens for a reason. It's like, well, no, bro. Like, you know what you want out of life, right? But then if you end up accepting the status quo because you're scared of your own potential, and it's kind of normal in a way. We are scared of our own power or ability, or we are scared of success. But like, if you're going to chicken out of the game by saying that, oh, this is how it was meant to be, you have to acknowledge that you're scared, right? And then see if you can live with that, because just finding a new coping mechanism, you can lie to yourself for a very long time, and it might hit you when you're older or when you need it the most.
Your network can help, but also can drag you down, right? Because they don't want you to be successful. Maybe sometimes they want you to fail as much as they do. I remember when I gave up cigarettes. I used to smoke a lot of cigarettes. The most difficult part was my friends. Oh, come on, get another one, dude. Yeah. Because they knew I was reminding them that they could also stop.
Stop, yeah. And people don't like that. Jay-Z has this saying that, where he says they project their insecurities on you. So if they cannot do something, they also want to say that, hey, but who are you trying to be? This is what we do, right? And if you cannot resist, so there's something to say there about peer pressure, right? A lot of people say, oh, I got into alcohol because all my friends were drinking. So peer pressure is a real thing. I personally don't have that problem. I don't do something simply because everyone else is doing it. In fact, I'm more interested in the opposite. Like, what's there on the other side of the spectrum? But yeah, you have to be able to come out and say, look, this is what's being expected of me, but this is also what I want. Because like you said, social influence has a huge impact in the kind of decisions that we make. And I think we have different level of cues as humans, and they're different. There are other people that their social cues are much higher than others, that they care about what people say, how they're being perceived, like their image and being liked is one of those things. But you also have to ask from the other side, under what cost? What's the sacrifice you're making? Because in life, everything comes in a sacrifice or another. For someone who might want to travel all the time, like I do, I might be sacrificing the time that I would have probably been building a family, finding a loving wife and having children, but I decide to go out there and change countries every week. So I just have to be aware of what I'm getting, what am I also potentially losing. But if you're just walking through it without any level of awareness, I think it's very dangerous.
Yeah, I agree. And also I found it interesting that nowadays, most of the time people they spend it, instead of building their life, they spend it observing someone else's. Because it's convenient. You can stay on your sofa, put on Netflix and scroll on Instagram and admire other people like you, actually with a backpack, traveling, right? So it becomes interesting. It's like, it seems it's more easy and convenient to, like you said, be part of a routine, be part of a specific set of habits. And then whoever breaks those rules or whatever, then they have to face some issues.
Consequences.
Exactly, because they don't want us to do sort of things. I remember when the pandemic happened, I was in the UK, and there was extremely rigid lockdowns, and I was like, I need to go to Dubai because I have a company there and I want to move. And the number of bureaucracy and documents and papers I had to produce. So I remember going to Heathrow with a pile of documents, and there was all letters, tests, whatever, you name it, I've done it. And I remember coming there and they were just thoroughly check everything. And the funny thing was it was basically me inviting myself.
Yourself, yeah. And the funny thing about that is that the system doesn't even have logic to be like, look, what are we doing here? It's stupid. Let's just skip it. Because I go through the same when I'm applying for visas as well, right? It's like I have my own company, but they want sponsor or some company of some sort to say, okay, look, we're the ones making it happen. Now I have to write myself a letter sponsoring myself and recommending that, okay, this is our guy. I'm like, bro, it is what it is though,
And then when you talk to the quote normal people, so people they're plugged in, they maybe are not, they follow different lifestyles that you and me. They don't even understand why we go through all those struggles, because I want to be free. Like I'd rather go through those headaches, once a week, once a month, whatever I have to, but then be completely free than have a easy life, but completely controlled by whoever is deciding,
Right. But the thing is, these things we're discussing here, right? We're just two guys on a podcast talking about the system and what it does. The system has a real system. It puts you in a class for 12 years, teaching you and convincing you that this is how things work. You go to country, you need to get a degree, and then you need to get a house, and you need to get a car. Like all these things that people find affinity to, they're not by accident. I mean, nobody is born and be like, oh, I want to have a house and pay for it for 30 years, call it a mortgage.
Yeah, we've been
somebody had to teach them that, and it took 12 years. So we can sit here and say all these words, but it might be one person who could actually see what we're trying to say, right? Because the other guys have been brainwashed for so many years that it's going to take forever, or it might never even happen for them to cut out of it. I mean, just imagine the bank has this product called a mortgage, and they try to convince you that paying for, let's say, a house that costs $500,000 for 30 years, it's something worth living for. And then people work their whole life just trying to pay for this mortgage. Imagine. And then when they try to leave, they can't because they say, oh, but I got a mortgage to pay, or they got a car. It's just some ridiculous dumb, I've never done it before, but I just don't get it.
Okay, but if your goal is to be financial free, the definition of rich could be anything. I could be rich because I own my land, or because I have a family. Rich, it could be anything. But if you want to have money and you want to be financially free or independent, how many people do you know that bought a house with a mortgage and they are millionaires? I mean, so by definition, you have to change the way you think, because like you said, we are a program, like a result of many programs. I mean, our language is a program, our family has an impact, our friends have had an impact, society we were raised, and all those things. If you want to break all those doors in, sometimes it requires strength and courage, because you have to go against everything, into something you don't know.
It's almost like Bitcoin, right? For you, if you believe in Bitcoin as much as I did, it's almost like saying that to all your friends and family, saying that, no, all of you are wrong. I'm the right one. But you're taking the risk that if you fail, it's going to be, oh, we told you so. But if you don't, people might just say internally that, oh, actually, he was right. But because they have too much ego, they might not even admit it. They'll just be like, oh, this Bitcoin thing is going to fail. So when I was getting into Bitcoin, everybody around me thought I was crazy. They're like, look, this is not real. How can this happen? And then I sold my little car, my first car that I ever bought. I bought it. And then a year or a few months later, I also sold it because I wanted to buy more Bitcoin. I moved out of my 2-bedroom apartment, moved into a shared house with a family that was staying there. I just had to rent a room so that I can buy more Bitcoin. And then everybody around me thought I was crazy, right? But then that was a statement almost saying that, oh, all of you are wrong. I'm the right one. And a few years later, it worked out for me. So that's what it takes. It's a risk. If you're someone who cares so much about not being embarrassed, I don't think you can win in a lot of things, because you still have to take risk in one way or another.
I love that so much, and I completely agree. I mean, I agree. I sympathize. Also, I was in kind of the same shoe every time I moved somewhere. I cannot get to what I want by doing what I've done. So I have to change. Definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different
results. Yeah.
So this is not clicking for me. So what do? I change. I change way of acting. I change way of thinking. Otherwise, I'm gonna go back to where I was.
Yeah, that's the thing. When to admit that if somebody accepts your success, it means that it's a matter of saying that, oh, I can also do it too. But people rather hate because it makes and put a dent on it so that they can have an excuse to say, I don't do it because of that dent over there. Just like how they hate billionaires now, right? Everybody knows that they have the capability to do it and become one, but they would rather just hate and say, all billionaires are evil. We should not have. I was in London and I was doing some street interviews for content. And then I met this girl who literally said, it's on my Instagram. She said that, oh, I hate all billionaires or even millionaires because we have, they're bad for the world. They do bad things. Nobody should be a millionaire. I'm like, okay, look, you know that you're failing yourself and you're now trying to project it on others. But
it's such an interesting topic. And by the way, I read somewhere, and I agree entirely, that if we could magically distribute to everybody on the planet the same amount of money, like a couple of millions, even in asset, in the span of, I don't know, a year, 2 years, 80% is going to be broke.
100%. Because you're competing against people like me, who is going to take it all from you. I'm focused on how can I get more. Yeah. You focus on something else. It's just priorities. So we have the same 24 hours, same opportunities. We choose to spend it differently, right? When I was teaching myself how to write code and computers, my friends were smoking weed or just going drinking every night or doing some other dumb. The end of that would get different results. So it's kind of crazy to look at society right now, trying to blame people for being successful or talk about equality as if we had to equally distribute everything, we're always going to have the same result. It's not. Like you said, right? We can give everybody $1 million. I did interviews on the same topic where I was asking people in London and Dubai and other cities. I'm like, okay, if you get $1 million today, what are you going to do? Majority of them, they would buy a house, they would buy a car, they'll buy something for their mom, and then they'll travel the world. All of these is losing money.
Exactly.
Like all they're trying to tell you is that, okay, if you give me $1 million, I'm just gonna lose it. So what do you expect out of that? It's like someone else is going to start a venture, and then they'll be the guy you're buying from.
Exactly.
They'll end up with more.
There are so many interesting components. So one, we don't know what money is. And I didn't know either. I had to go into a journey and find out myself.
Yeah.
What is money? Because I thought, exactly like you said, okay, I'm going to go get a job, take the money, getting paid with, put it in the bank. And then when I have enough to pay 10% for a deposit, I'm just going to ruin my life and decide to have the probably longest death possibly, which is going to block me financially, but also physically, because I won't be able to go anywhere because I'm there. And then, when you talk to people, they actually homeowner or they are into a mortgage now, and you try to explain them, it's like, please go into any shop and buy Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, and read it. That's it. That's step number one. Because it explains liability versus, asset. This is such an easy concept, but I had no idea. I thought, you pay rent. Yeah, but if you do the math, it's not even coming close to the amount of money and commitment that you don't even own the flat. Anyway, even if you manage to pay it all in the end, you don't
own it.
Exactly. So after all those troubles, so there are people, poor souls, they've been working their entire life through a crazy mortgage. They have the house, it's not theirs.
I mean, and when people say that, oh, we bought a house, they're usually talking about a mortgage, which is dumb because you basically have equity. That's all you have, right? But the bank saw this idea that when they handle you the keys and you owe them years of your life to work like a horse, you're basically a horse working for them. And they make you believe that you own this house, yet you're basically always worried about paying them every month. But look, when it comes to money itself, in my journey, I learned that there are two types of money. Dumb money. there are two types of dumb money. So there's one which is in the Western world. In the West, money means debt, right? It's a debt-based economy. You just have to set yourself up in a way that the system understand what you're doing, who you are, then they'll give you a little bit of credit. And then you can pretend to own a house, you can pretend to own a car, but in reality, those things own you. And you live your whole life slaving to pay them off, which in most cases you never will, because you're starting in a negative state. Why? You already have student debt in most cases, right? So you have to pay that off, and then you owe a lot of money. And then it's a perpetual contract that just never ends, because you take more debt as you go. So they will give you debt at every stage of your life, right? For education, they'll even give you more debt for your wedding. That's the last one.
Yeah.
They'll give you, right? The last nail. They know that now they got you now, right? So they might give you another one for the mortgage in the car, because they know that now you're basically a slave. And then there's another form of dumb money, which is on the other side where I grew up in Africa. But this model of dumb money taught me something. So where I grew up, we don't have the debt-based system because our currencies are denominated to the dollar. Our countries do not print the dollar. We have to buy it. So it's very difficult for you to get credit. So the way you buy something is when you save up money and you can buy it. So if you want an iPhone and it's cost, I don't even know how much an iPhone costs, like $3,000 or something.
It probably depends.
2 Ethereum.
Yeah.
So an iPhone, let's say, costs 2 Ethereum, like $3,000. And the way we did it growing up is that you save up every month for 2 years, and then you take the money and you spend it all at once, which is also dumb, because you're basically just deploying the capital all at once, and you don't really have any leverage anymore. And this taught me one thing, that if you don't find yourself in debt, you can have a little control of your life. But the problem is that you have no leverage. Another problem is when you're saving money, let's say you save for 2 years, right? And let's also say another person saves money for 10 years. Money is energy. That's why if you have $1 million, you can put together a 2-story house. If you have 100K, maybe just one base, right? So more money, more energy, more people. So if you are saving money over time, you're supposed to end up with more. But the way the fiat game works is that you save up your whole life and you end up with less. If your parents were saving, let's say they had $10,000 back in the day, 1970s. If they had saved it up to this day, it would be worth 10 grand. You would just spend it on a business class flight to Singapore and back. Exactly. Back in the day, they could have probably bought equity in a house. So I realized that there are two forms, and then there is a third party of smart money like Bitcoin, stocks, S&P 500, something that you hold onto it. Over time, it gives you more purchasing power. And the moment I understood these things, I was like, okay, cool. I just have to side myself with the right form of money. And then automatically, as I get older, I get richer, not the other way around. So that is the great BTC economic class for you guys. It's really that simple. Once you understand that, you're good.
What would you say to someone who has, let's call it 10K to invest now in September 2023?
I would spend $1,000 on education, educating myself about money and crypto. I can sign up on Crypto University, get a course, cryptouniversity.network, get a course that will cost you about $500. The other $500, I'll use it as capital to learn while I'm learning. So I'll buy crypto there, crypto to start moving around the coins to learn how it works, gas fees and all that kind of stuff. And then with the knowledge that I learned from Crypto University, I would now invest the 9K. And then I'll go back to work. Because 10K is not going to change your whole life, but it's a very good foundation. Like I started with way less than that, right? $200 or something. So 10K is good, but you need, I think, more than anything, the best asset you have is yourself. So you have to invest in yourself first, and then you'll become a better person who can do something better with money other than just buying things like what most people do. People like you and me who are watching right now gets it. Yeah. Like you have to invest in yourself. You pay for courses because it takes time for people to make these things. And on YouTube, you're going to have to be searching for things around. when you sign up for a program online done by someone that you trust, it's mostly organized. So you just go smash it through and it's done.
You know, we are there hustling every day, doing what we love, you know, getting beaten up. Even when I speak to people about crypto, this is my 10 year in crypto. And I'm like, guys, it's not been easy. I mean, you have this image of us, you know, doing all day on a yacht, smoking cigars and being rich. But, bro, that's not how it works. You know?
But, you know, social media is a fun place. So it shows you how much people don't understand about success or getting things done because they really believe in what they look at on social media. Like I've never been really starstruck by celebrity or some sort. So when I was younger, I used to question a lot about why are people so crazy about celebrity? Like, and there's several examples, like people go crazy about these people. And I used to wonder, like, why can someone have so much low self-esteem and put a human being at that level of pedestal? And now, as I get older, I understand it, that most people don't have the balls to do anything at all in life. And they live a good life or the life they aspire to through other people. So when they see Jay-Z or Justin Bieber or Elon Musk doing something great, they feel good about it because they're just going to do it themselves. So I get it now. I'm like, okay, look, it's all good. And if that's how you want to live, have a shitty life, but you live a better life only through other people, that's on you. But I do think all of us have the potential to actually create the life that we have in our mind and actually turn it into a reality, you know?
100%. I completely agree. Amen to that. I think if you do what you love and you put hard work into it, you will be unstoppable. I mean, there's nothing you cannot achieve. It just takes time and energy. That's it. And it's not going to be an easy ride. So I spoke with so many successful people and no one ever said to me, oh yeah, I opened a business in 2 minutes and I made 10 millions. No, it's never most likely the first business you have. You have to go through a bunch before. You have to invest time and money and take risks and go through some huge amount of work, which means you can only manage if you love what you are doing. Like if you are trying to do something to free yourself financially, pick something you enjoy because you'll have to, you'll have to face challenges. But it is 100% easy and possible for everyone. Like you said, I agree.
Yeah, success is mostly a character game. I think it's less about what someone is doing. It's about who they are as a person. So when I was in Bali last month, I met a gentleman who looked like a gym bro. He got all these tattoos, he's super ripped. And I was just like, oh, this guy work out a lot. And he took a video of me while I was working out. I needed somebody to do some filming. And then the next day when I got back at the Body Factory there, I saw him sitting down and we had coffee together. And then he told me a little bit about his story. And he showed me a picture of him 6 months prior. And it looked like a completely different person. I was like, wow. He's like, oh yeah. So he had a downtime a little bit. He owned restaurants in Italy or France or something. He's been doing well. He has a rough background with addictive parents, like drug addicts. And he went into drugs a little bit himself. And then he was doing partying in Ibiza and stuff. And then he got into an accident, got sick, got fat, and all. And then he reached the rock bottom and be like, I'm going to change my life. So he went to Bali about 6 months ago. And then if you look at him right now, he's like super, super built. You'll be like, wow. So when I met him, I was just like, oh yeah, this is my type of person. And we became friends almost immediately. Later on, he was telling me about his projects, what he's building. He's building this small village in Bali, like big real estate project. I was like, okay, yeah, seems like a guy who can actually do it. Because the first story gave me an example of his character, what he's able to achieve. So I think success is more of that. It's a character game. There are people who just have it in them to achieve things, and there are people who are just weak, and it is what it is.
This guy knows, to build a body takes dedication, time, discipline. So all those are characteristics of, that's why everyone is becoming fat these days, because they stay home, watch TV, and eat ice cream. They dream to have money, but they do nothing about it.
Right. I mean, so I keep thinking about this. Like every time I look at something that I might not know anything about, I'm thinking about how could it be better. It can be a product I purchased, an apartment, a hotel room that I'm staying on, even a service at a hotel. Like, oh, this could have been better if they did A, B, and C. I realize that most entrepreneurs, it's just how they think. It's just natural, right? Mostly people just experience life without any second thoughts about anything. Yeah. So I think that's what makes the difference. But that's what creates different classes of people who are the leaders and the servants, the rest of the population, unfortunately.
100%. And if you think about when we were kids, we have curiosity on anything. We used to ask a lot of questions. Hey, how does it work? What is this? What is that?
Yeah.
We kind of lost all those characteristics, and now we accept everything. Like you said, we don't even question anything anymore. And we're kind of used to, well, she was lucky, he was lucky. Oh, well, they are rich.
It's coping mechanism, it's almost like that's just the way it is. That's the saying that a lot of people go by. That's just what it is. It's almost, you don't want to give it thoughts like, okay, how did this guy achieve this? Simply because it's going to expose a weakness in you. That, okay, how did this guy lost weight in 6 months? You don't want to think, oh yeah, good for him. You don't want to think through it, because when you do, it's going to remind you that, okay, but you were supposed to be doing the same maybe. So speaking of children and how they think, one of my friends, I had seen him like 2 years ago, and I haven't since then. So I saw him over a month ago, and he has a baby. It's almost a year old. And then when I saw her, she plays all the time. And what I found fascinating about it, and I haven't been around kids for a long time. I'm always like traveling and stuff. Bro, like she can be crying in 1 minute. In 3 seconds later, she's laughing. She's completely forgot that she was angry about something. It's just so crazy. It's like kids, they don't hold on to a lot of emotions or negativity, or they don't take things too seriously. It's like there was a moment she was crying because she didn't have something. She managed to get it, and then now it's a new chapter. I was like, wow, there's something to learn there,
100%.
As adults, we learn how to hold on to things too much. It's kind of crazy.
That's a good point, indeed. But hey, where can people find you?
You can find me on YouTube, Crypto Hustle. On Twitter, it's GreyBTC. On Instagram, GreyBTC. TikTok, GreyBTC.
Nice, fantastic. Guys, push pause and click the link in the comment down below, because I'm going to put everything in there. Cheers, brother. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you on the next one. Cheers.